Hello, this is Joshua Fernandez, and uh, for today's problem, I am solving the intermediate algorithm scripting problem, Pig Latin, and here we have to we have three test cases. So the first test case is if a word begins with a vowel, you add way to the end. So let's say const const consonant here is our input, our argument. So we want it to be consonant way. Okay, that's our first test case. The second test case is if um, the first letter in our word is a consonant, or like the first clutter. So if like CL, so like let's say cluster. So CL would be our the first cluster in the word cluster. Um, the first cluster of consonants in our word, in our string cluster. So we would take the first cluster of consonant and move it to the end of our string, and then add A to the end of the string. So that's the second case. That is this case right here. And the third case is if the word contains no vowels. So, for example, rhythm. Okay, so if it contains no vowels, then we just add way to the end. Okay, so let's start out with this test case. If a word does not contain a vowel, just add a to the end of it. Or actually, let's do this one. If a word begins with a vowel, you just add way to the end of it. So first, we're going to be because we're going to be manipulating our input, our argument. We should put our string into an array. So str is equal to str.split. So, and return str. Return str. So let's console.log this so we can check how our code is returned. Okay. So as you can see, our string is now characters that are separated in an array. Okay, so let me just put this back in. Now let's do the first test case. If a e I o u, if these vowels are contained in the string, then we can return str.join plus way. Okay. So let's test this. So air should be airway. Okay. So this works. Basically, if our first letter is a vowel, then we will return the array of strings as a string. That's what str.join does. It converts our array back into a string. And we add way to the end of our string, end of our input. Okay, so that is our first test case. Our second test case, we can do this one right here. We'll take the cluster of, we'll check if A, E, I, O, U is contained in the first that is the first character. Actually, I messed this one up because this is supposed to check, see if a word begins with a vowel, you add way to the end. So it's actually, if str0 is equal to AEIOU, then we add way to the end of our string. So like this. So it doesn't check the entire string for vowels. It just checks the first letter. Okay? So here we have to check if the first letter is equal to a consonant, and if it is, then we'll use a for loop to loop through our array. Less than str.length. Okay, and we can check if let's see, AEIOU dot test stri. So what this if statement does is it's gonna loop. So basically, if or how about this, just cramp. Okay, so it's gonna loop through our string, and it's gonna stop. So it's, first of all, it's gonna check if our string has if the first letter of our string is a consonant, and if it is, then it's gonna loop through our string until it hits a vowel. Once it hits a vowel, we're gonna take the values, characters before our vowel, which would be the cluster of consonants. We're going to move them to the end of our string, and then add a. Yeah. Okay. So str is equal to, var new string is equal to str dot splice 0, I and then is equal to return str join str dot join plus a. Okay, cool. So let's say cramp. Okay, so there's something wrong with our code. Okay. So I see what I did wrong. We have to check here if it's not a vowel, if it is a consonant, if the first letter is a consonant. Then, so that's what the caret does, is it checks if it's not A, E, I, O, U. Yeah, and let's see, let's test it. So, clap, for example. Yep, so AP, and then CLA, CL, which are the two consonants that we move to the end of the array, plus AY. Okay, so that works. And our third condition is if a word does not contain any vowels, then we just add A to the end of the word. So basically, if it iterates through this array and never passes through this if this if statement condition never passes, then we can just say str is equal, return str dot join plus A. So let's test this, and it works. Cool. So the next problem that I'm going to solve is intermediate algorithm scripting search and replace. So that's going to be the next problem. And yeah, see you in the next video.